We will give it just a minute or two more, and see if anybody else hops on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Did put the agenda in the chat, so that's ready for you guys. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? It might be a small group today, which is totally fine. I think make for good conversation. So thanks for joining us and making time for us today. So I think all of you are familiar with our leadership team, so I will kind of skip introductions because you guys are regulars on our call, so I appreciate that. I am going to share my screen here, so bear with me for just 1 second. All right. Can you guys see that okay? As it's loading. You can see it. Okay, great. All right. So, if you've taken a peek at the agenda, you can kind of see how we wanted to do kind of a refresh and renew theme to our agenda today. And so we thought it'd be fun to kind of take a few minutes and do, I don't know if any of you have Spotify, but this kind of reminded me of that, where you have like your wrapped and you can see your age and all that kind of fun stuff. But do a year in review from the Healthy School Meals for All perspective. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Let's see here. Okay, so wanted to start out with obviously the largest priority and the thing that we are advocating for here within the coalition. I don't know if you remember, it was gosh, almost a year ago now, but January 16th, 2025, the Healthy School Meals for All bill was introduced at the state capitol. In addition to that, Governor Evers had added, as all of you well know, Meals for All into his 25-27 state budget. Unfortunately, as we also know, that didn't ultimately make it into the final state budget. But I think it's always nice to highlight that we've had the support of the governor over the last handful of years with Healthy School Meals for All. So, getting into a timeline here, um, we started in January outside of the bill introduction. We had the leadership team for Healthy School Meals for All and other coalition members, school nutrition professionals, that had submitted to present at the WASB State Education Conference. So, a group of those folks presented about Fund 50 and all goes into that. In addition to the presentation at the State Ed Conference, the Healthy School Meals for All team and coalition members exhibited there, and they had a booth at the trade show there. In February, Healthy School Meals for All hosted an op-ed workshop. So that was led by Professor Jen Gaddis, and I believe Amelia is her intern. And they walked the coalition through how to best write op-eds. Additionally, in February, Governor Evers declared 2025 as the year of the kid. In March, WEAC connected with Healthy School Meals for All leadership team and reached out to try and discuss strategies on how to support Healthy School Meals for All mission. Some more content from March. You'll notice a theme that there's a couple really busy months in here, but there's definitely work that's been done across the entire year. In March, and actually this is kind of late February as well, AB 48 and SB 67 were introduced, like I have written there, in late February. these were introduced and then they were referred to the Senate Ed Committee. If you remember or recall, Healthy School Meals did encourage the coalition to support these two pieces of legislation. Again, in March, the Healthy School Meals for All Coalition created audio stories with the help of the journalism student Huani Lim. Um, some of us were interviewed and produced a great audio series to advocate for Healthy School Meals for All. That was a really fun opportunity for us. And I believe these are on our website, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Allison's shaking her head, yes. And then in April, this was a really fun time, if you can call JFC hearings fun. Um, the Healthy School Meal for All Coalition, as well as different school nutrition professionals from the state and beyond, went to these JFC hearings and advocated for healthy school meals for all across the state. So we really appreciated everybody's time and effort there. Those can be long days. And so it was nice to see that there were so many people that went out and represented the mission from the coalition standpoint. Then in May, we had somebody from Top Chef Dan Jacobs um, team reach out to us and ask how they could help support our mission. Chef Dan Jacobs is local to the Milwaukee area. And he came to my school district in Elmbrook and visited a couple different schools. We visited one of our middle schools and an elementary school. And he spent time talking to kids about healthy eating and why it's so important. And then you can see that picture there. That's one of our kitchen teams at Burleigh Elementary. So it was nice for him to be able to shed some light on healthy school meals for all. And then he was going to kind of talk about it in his world and bring it back to his students, or I shouldn't say students, his community as well. Then moving on to June, Healthy School Meals for All had a great presence at the SNA Wisconsin, or School Nutrition Association Wisconsin annual conference this summer. They had a table there and spoke at SNA Wisconsin's conference in Appleton, Wisconsin. So appreciate the time there. And then again in June, the School Nutrition Association and the leadership team here, the Healthy School Meals for All Coalition, kind of watched a bill on food additives in school meals. And I would actually call that conversation with the bill authors a success. So our legislative partners through SNA Wisconsin reached out to the bill authors and asked for some modifications in the language, and we were successful at obtaining some of those asks. So it was nice to be able to build a bridge there and make a connection, hopefully, for future conversations. In July, the leadership team here discussed what possible future SNAP cuts would look like and how they would impact Wisconsin families. So that, as you can imagine, was a big conversation. In August, forecasting the future, the leadership team discussed a new strategic plan and needs for funding strategies for the near future. In September, this one took up an entire slide, did a lot of work in September. We had the opportunity, we had an invite from Jill, who's on the call today, to be on her podcast, Beyond the Bell. We've had that linked in the agenda for a couple meetings now, but if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. It's a nice opportunity to talk to her about the importance of feeding all kids across the state. Also in September, Allison had the opportunity to speak at the kids' first press conference. And what this did was kind of re-up the Healthy School Meals for All bill that was introduced back in January, provide some and shed some more light on that, along with other bills that help support students across the state. Additionally, Stacy hosted a state legislator's office. So Representative think it's Derek, right? Van Orden's office. A member from his office came and was part of the Farmers Union lunch that she hosted. And so she can speak a little bit more about that, but it sounds like it was great conversation and a great opportunity to highlight school meals and everything that she does in her district. And in September again, Healthy School Meals for All leadership team released a survey to the coalition to ask members what they wanted to see. So then moving on to October through December. In October, the Healthy School Meals for All leadership team invited one of the bill authors of the food additives bill that I had just previously mentioned, Senator Rachel Cabral Guerrera, to meet with the leadership team and discuss Healthy School Meals for All. I thought it was a good conversation. We definitely learned a lot about each other, and it was nice that she was able to join us for a conversation. In November, the Madison student advocates, Professor Jen Gaddis and Erica Turner, who is an education policy studies professor, reached out to the leadership team and is interested in learning more about our coalition and how students in her class can help advocate for healthy school meals for all. And I believe that class is up and coming, so they're continuing to work on that. In December, Healthy School Meals for All continues to eye funding strategies for the coalition. So as we've already shared with you back in December, the leadership team continues to review grant opportunities and strategies to source funding for the coalition. And then again in December, just learning more about SNAP updates and guidance from our partners at Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin and Feeding America, and learning how we can support Wisconsin families and what that means for us in school nutrition as well, and what implications may come. So that was our year in review. Kind of exciting to see everything that was done. A lot of work was done and a lot of hard work was put into it. And appreciate everybody on the leadership team and the coalition who has, provided investment in this important cause. So just put on here the last slide here and what you can do over the next few years to really hopefully move our mission forward. This whole presentation is linked in the agenda, so feel free to take this and use it or review it at a later time. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to kick it over to Stacy for the rest.
All right. My mute button was sticking. Thanks, Caitlin. I think it's always so interesting because in the moment, I personally sometimes feel like I'm not really doing that much. But when you lay it all out there and actually go back and look, that was a lot. We really have done a lot. So thanks for doing that. Now we're kind of going to transition into a discussion. So, with the new year, we thought that it would be a good time to have some intentional conversation about the coalition, and how we can continue moving forward, stay focused, and make sure that we're providing value to your time. So we have some questions. We want everyone to feel welcome to provide any feedback. We want to hear what you guys are looking for or ideas that you have for us. So we will just go ahead and start by asking, when you think about the coalition, what comes to mind as something that we're providing?
So feel free to add it in the chat or unmute yourself and respond.
I think it's a really good place for us to all come together from different organizations having a common interest. I don't know that we can necessarily talk about free school lunches everywhere in the community because people sometimes don't even understand what school lunch is. So it's great to have this group that really can get together and share same thoughts and ideas and try to move the needle forward.
Great. Emily said in the chat, updates on legislation that can be difficult to track otherwise. Totally agree with that. Even being on the leadership team and involved with SNA Wisconsin legislative team, there's a lot that comes out, and so it's hard to kind of keep a pulse on that if you're not in it every day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd
This
like
is
to take
Jill.
this.
Go ahead, Esther.
Yep. Now, I just want to take the time to introduce myself. I'm Esther. I'm agronomist by profession, and I work with the Michael Fields Agricultural Institute. Um, School food and nutritious food has been always important to me, and now I really want to be a part of the learning, and I'm here to more learn because I'm more from the production side than from the food side of it. And so I'm here to learn. And so the thing this coalition provide, I'm thinking about more of learning opportunities for me this year.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Esther. We're glad to have you. Um, for me, I feel like this coalition is kind of a place for hope and motivation, and hopeful that we will get to our end goal at some point. Does anyone else want to share? All right, hearing and seeing nothing, we will move on to the second question. So, when you see this meeting on your calendar, what is the primary hurdle or mental block that makes you hesitate to join? I feel like we have a lot of our regulars that are always here, so maybe it doesn't even maybe it doesn't even correlate to yourself.
I'll add to Emily. I think sometimes I mean, even just now, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna totally miss this meeting. But there's so much going on all the time, and I think that it's like you have to like prioritize, and it's like, okay, well, I can catch up on it later. But I think that it's important to be here to talk about and hear what's going on, like in the moment, because I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of time to go back and catch up on things that I've missed. And so I think that's one of the things that um, is hard for me, is like there's so many other things I could be doing, but I also know that this is important. So
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. And I totally feel the same way. I think I have some, like, I'll push some emails that I want to get, like, if it's a recorded webinar that I missed, my intent is to go back, but they're still sitting there. I saw that Danielle added that from the last question that it's also your first meeting. Welcome. And that you are looking for what you can do or what I can encourage others you know to do. So I think that that's something that the coalition has continued to try and kind of fine tune. For the most part, though, to try like reaching out to your representatives is always a great thing that anyone across the state can do, just to kind of let them know that you're in support of this. So the more they hear it, the more they know that their constituents are excited about what we're pushing for.
I think the other thing that's hard sometimes, and even like I was on the leadership team too, is it gets a little bit discouraging knowing that we've worked so hard. Like if you look back at the beginning, the first few meetings that we had when we were like, yeah, we can keep this going forever. It was like just after COVID and we were going to push it through and then we haven't. And that's no fault to anybody here. It's just something that we have to really keep working at. And so I don't have an answer for you, but I feel like if I miss a meeting, that would probably be my like, ugh, we just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. I would piggyback off of that and say, kind of maybe an opposite frame of mind for me is as I was doing the year in review, I was thinking to myself, because I've been involved in legislation with School Nutrition Association for, gosh, probably 10 years now. And the momentum around this movement is so incredibly high compared to what it was, let's say 5, 6 years ago. Even if it was on the tail of COVID, right? We are talking about it more. We've got new members joining all the time. And while everybody is very busy, it just seems like it is so important to people that outside of the school nutrition lens, which is really exciting for me to see that. And to see that there's passion beyond the walls of our cafeterias, right? Because we live and breathe this every day, but it's really exciting to see the momentum beyond just our everyday. I think Jordan has his hand raised.
Yeah, Jordan, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for always having these monthly calls. As somebody who is fortunate enough to talk to Allison monthly about this very coalition, I am very happy and um happy to be uh, any of assistance to you guys, and I just appreciate all the work that you guys have done over the last year or a couple years that I've been a part of this. As somebody who actually um was a student when the COVID era like free meals were going on, I have a unique um realm of like a unique story with that, and I just know how it impacted me. So that's what got me involved in this coalition to begin with. And I'm just like I told Allison earlier on today, I'm willing to help in any way I possibly can advance this, even though it sometimes might feel like we're going backwards. Like I just appreciated the like the year in review because you know I know we're kind of relying on elected officials to bring this through, but we have to keep doing our part no matter who it is. Um, I just hope that we can make some more meaningful change in 2026, but it will be meant to be seen what we can do until after the elections are all done.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan. We're glad to have you here too. Um, anything, oh, I see some new group is very easy to access and comfortable to be a part of. Well, thanks, Susan. Um, and that we forget the work. Yeah. Yeah. So nice job on the timeline. Um, does anyone else have anything to add to this question? Okay. So what specific element would turn this into a can't miss meeting for you? It sounds like we already got a little bit of feedback of what you guys like. I'm hearing learning and legislative updates and head nodding right now.
Yeah, I would just second the legislative updates. I think for me are huge, as I for whatever reason I'm not on some of those emails. So I think that's the biggest thing, and the asks. I mean that is super helpful when we need to be getting the other information out there, or when the asks need to go where we need to be reaching out to legislators and doing some of that advocacy. I really, really appreciate that.
Great. Does anyone else have anything to add? See, Susan also agreed with legislative schedules, updates, and invites. And Emily just added getting a simplified version of legislative updates is great. Yeah, it's a lot to read through sometimes. All right, we'll move on to the next question then, unless anyone else has anything else. So if we could only achieve one major win by year end, what would make this organization a hero? I think we kind of all know what the win we would like to see is. Ooh, I like that, Caitlin. Caitlin T says one Republican supporter. That would be a win.
I like that one too. I see lots of smiles and some laughs too, so
That's a good goal to have then. All right, so kind of playing off of this question, obviously, we're all here for the same reason, healthy school meals for all, right? Some of the states that we also we look to see what they've done to get their state to pass the legislation. Some of them implement stepping stones, and so they'll kind of not negotiate, but yeah, kind of negotiate like a stepping stone that helps them piece up to healthy school meals for all. So, what stepping stones should we potentially look at to help build momentum to get to healthy school meals for all legislation? Like, what would still be a win?
yeah, so I'll just provide like yep,
Yeah.
definitely agree, Emily. Increased state match. Um, some suggestions or some things that other states have done are like years before they passed Healthy School Meals for All, they got free breakfast for all students across the state. And then I believe it was Colorado, they did like K2 with Meals for All first, and then they expanded it to like K3 and then K4 year by year. And eventually they got all of it passed for K-12. But that's kind of what some other states have used as strategies to kind of prove that the stepping stones were working. So things like that. I like the idea of it's amazing to me that not, I mean, I know I understand why, right? It's a budget thing, but that not 100% of the schools that qualify for CEP take advantage of that. And I know there's pros and cons, and it has to work out with the funding of it all. But I think that would be a small win for me is, and that's not technically small, but is to see all of the schools that could financially support CEP roll that out in their school districts, because I think that would make a huge impact.
Thanks, Caitlin. Caitlin T asked if there's a way for us to pull um, the Republican legislators and see if they'd be willing or interested in any of these, and then focus on the one we can pass and move from there. I think that'd be great. I just don't know how we would go about that.
I think that's something we could strategize with Hoven, I'm thinking. And
Yeah,
Hoven is
maybe.
our legislative partner for SNA Wisconsin. I like what Jill said about getting the message out on the cost of what Healthy School Meals for All would be per taxpayer. Right. When I share that with people, their mind is blown, right? Like you would potentially be paying less in taxes than what you are paying for your child to eat at every school all day, right? For the year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do really think that's huge. I have shared with a number of people and they have come back to me and said, wait, what? Like that can't be right. And I'm like, well, this is a really great organization, did the math and figured it out. So I just think that's a huge message because I feel like lots of folks are wrapped up in the money issue, right? And so I think that's a really good message to share.
So can I
Yeah.
ask a question? By this, do you mean both the breakfast as well as the lunch?
Yeah, so I believe Allison and others from the leadership team worked with DPI to request a fiscal note on what this, Allison's unmuting herself. You can go ahead, Allison.
Yeah, I'll add. So when Governor Evers introduced no cost school meals in his budget, it comes with a fiscal note, as Caitlin was mentioning, from DPI of what the estimated cost is to do no cost school breakfast and school lunch in the state. And so what it is we would Wisconsin would utilize federal dollars for what we currently have for school lunch, and then cover the gap to allow that students in Wisconsin to participate and receive a free meal. The fiscal estimate, oh gosh, I'm going to blank on the total, but it's around, I want to say 147 million, 147, 148 million for 1 year to do no cost school breakfast, school lunch. What we did as a coalition is we went back to Representative Francesca Hong's office, who's been a champion for healthy school meals for all, and said, can we get that as an estimated cost per taxpayer, just to help that number be more digestible, because 147, 148 million is a big number. And when the Legislative Reference Bureau came back and said, there are some different figures to think about, but a rough estimate is that it's $60 per the average taxpayer to be able to fund no cost school breakfast and school lunch for everyone across the state.
Thank you so much, Allison.
All right, so I am seeing with all the elections, good things to ask candidates publicly on their social media so they and voters can see it. But yeah, getting it out there and hearing what they say if they respond would be great. Emily said would be cool to do something like, what can you do with $60 a year? Right? Like I mean, everything's so expensive these days, but it's like $60 a month for a kid right now to eat breakfast and lunch at most schools, and that's using an average. And then Caitlin, is there a gubernatorial or
Gubernatorial debate.
I,
Stacy, I can read through those.
great. Okay.
So Caitlin T said, is there a gubernatorial debate? I feel like this would be probably where we'd want to reach out to the most people, or how we could. And maybe we could submit a question for the debate. I think that's a wonderful idea.
And I put, just because I was chatting with Jordan this morning, and Jordan, would you be willing to share the work that you're doing to advocate for individuals with disabilities with all the governor candidates right now? You said you were trying to organize some town halls, I believe. Is that correct? Could you share a little bit more about that, or correct me if I'm misspeaking?
Yes, I have currently emails out to every uh, gubernatorial candidate, including the Republican candidates, to relay some of my concerns with disability things, and also this coalition as well. And I have a few town halls scheduled already, because I wanted to get some before they get really busy in this election cycle. And um I just really kind of like what Matt was talking about last meeting. um I really enjoy talking with my elected officials and building that relationship before they get an elected office. If they get an elective office, then that's really important. If just to know everybody, and just to know that you are one of their constituents.
Thanks, Jordan. As Jordan said, I had the opportunity to chat with him, and I think he does great advocacy work I know focusing on individuals with disabilities and also for the coalition. And Jordan, I always admire the work that you're doing. And I love the ideas because I think it just, it continues to inspire all of us to think about like, what are those things we can do? And kind of tagging off of the ideas in the chat. These are all wonderful. Thank you.
All right. So I think we'll go ahead. So we've kind of noticed that our participation in our meetings maybe isn't as high as it used to be. So it kind of makes us wonder. I know that this meeting has been slotted at this time for quite a while. Does the current meeting time respect your schedule, or is it time for a change?
We'll also work to send out a survey for, the full coalition. I believe we have, what is it, over 400 folks on our listserv. So, goal of ours is to hopefully increase more participation in the coalition meetings.
I will make a comment to say I think you guys do a really, really fantastic job getting the notes and the information out after. So I sometimes don't feel as bad when I miss a meeting because I know you guys do such a thorough job with the notes and the information kind of before, even before and after, like things are recorded and you can always go back and check. So maybe if you wouldn't do such a good job, we'd have to attend.
That's funny. I just think of the group and I know that that wouldn't happen. All right. Well, maybe we can just send out a poll about meeting times.
Yeah, I think so.
But from what we're hearing is it sounds like it's working for those that are here anyways. Well, that is it for our discussion. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer our questions. Like I said, we want to just make sure that we're being we're considerate of your time and that you find value in spending it with us. So moving on, the agenda is the legislative update. So we just wanted to point out that there has been a new farm to fork bill. It's very similar to the previous bill, but it expands grant funding for other entities besides schools. So anyone that has a cafeteria that is able to serve food and educate at the same time would be eligible. So my understanding is that daycares, hospitals, and other sites like the such. But it's would still give preference to school districts that especially had higher socioeconomic status and innovative proposals. And then next is what's happening in DC and how it influenced school meals. So, as you guys may have heard, they did just release the new dietary guidelines for Americans. Um, our nutrition standards are based off of dietary guidelines for Americans, so we don't know what will happen as of yet, if things will change, but they usually do, but it normally will take some time. Moving
Can I
on. Oh,
Can I
go
add in
ahead.
a quick question? Just going back to the farm to fork, and I just want to open it up to the group too. I had an opportunity working with Farm to School. I got asked to do an interview next week. And if anyone takes a look at that legislation and has any thoughts on like how it's going to impact their work, pros or cons, I would say please reach out to either myself or you can use the Healthy School Meals for All, Healthy School Meals WI at Gmail account because I'd love to be able to pass along any opinions when I do an interview next week. So just kind of a shameless plug for if anyone has any thoughts for how those farm to fork bill might impact their work.
Great. And then next is just additional updates. So, like Caitlin mentioned before, the Beyond the Bell podcast, we still have that link on there if you want to check it out. And we had been previously mentioning our looks at fundraising for healthy school meals for all Wisconsin coalitions. So if you guys have any ideas of funding opportunities, to just reach out and let us know. And let's see, updates around the state. If Selena Darrow in Green Bay is looking for school nutrition programs that are working with nonprofits for food recovery, and reach out to her. There's the Spark and Innovation Collaborative Award Grant, which is due January 23rd. And a shameless plug for SNA Wisconsin. We host an annual advocacy day, and it is scheduled on February 2nd from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. and it is virtual. So we'd love to see you there. And that is all that we have, unless anyone else needed to add in anything else. And I'm seeing no. So thank you everyone for joining us today and for having the conversation. We hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your contributions.
Thank you.